Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy T for 365 Horror, and this is a horror movie discovery channel. I am just here to put as many horror movies on your watch list as possible. And in today's video, we are going to be looking at 7 brand new releases for you guys to watch and stream. So let's get into it right now. Now we are going to get into the video, but before we do, I've got to remind you guys to please like and subscribe if you like this content. Also, this video is best watched with the movie tracker. I like to use Letterboxd. It's just the easiest way to keep track of the movies that you've seen and want to see. I also want to touch on the availability of these titles, as I have personally went to each one of the sites and verified that these movies are available. And if you are having trouble seeing them, there is probably one of 2 reasons. One, you might be region locked. And the other reason is, if you are using any of the alternative media sites or any of the free stuff, a lot of these movies just came out yesterday, so they really won't show up on those sites for a couple days. And lastly, this is just a preview. These are not reviews and recommendations. As always, I've added chapters and timestamps in the description, so if you don't like any of my trailer reactions or any of the movies I've picked, you're always free to skip to the next one. And if you did want some reviews and recommendations, then I suggest you watch my Every Movie I Watched in a Month series, my You Should Watch series, or any of my movie list series. This here is just a little something for the diehards like me that are always looking for something new to watch. And with that, let's get right to it. So I hope everyone's been having a great week and is ready for some movies, because the first movie we're going to look at is an action horror thriller named A Hard Place. And this movie can be rented on Apple TV.
Good luck.
Come get Daddy!
In a snow-covered forest, a group of criminals find themselves caught in the middle of an ancient feud between the monsters that roam the day and the creatures that rule the night. It is directed by Jay Horton. Okay, so after watching the trailer for A Hard Place, this one looks like a kind of meh, subpar monster horror. When it comes to the creeps and scares, I didn't even really see anything that stood out, and I'm not even sure that the movie is going to bother with any jump scares. And the gore in the trailer was pretty light too. You get a couple of brutal gunshots and some bloody scenes, but it's nothing over the top. Production-wise, this one definitely gives off kind of like those B-movie vibes. And although the acting didn't seem horrible, it wasn't great either. As for the premise itself, it was a little bit interesting. Being caught in the middle of like 2 different monster factions feuding could lead to some cool battles. But honestly, it was nothing that really just got my heart racing. Overall, when it comes to A Hard Place, it just feels kind of meh, and this one's going to get a lower spot on my watch list.
To lay low, somewhere off the grid. I know just the place.
What the hell?
Let's blow this pop stand.
Where are you gonna go? Where? I know you're scared.
You step outside that door, and you'll get tore apart.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a straight horror named The Crucifix, Blood of the Exorcist. And this one's available for rent on Plex.
I caught you!
A gruesome discovery in the grounds of their new home plunges a young couple into a maelstrom of spiritual possession, pagan rituals, Viking battles, and violent revenge. It is directed by Stephen Roach. Okay, so after watching the trailer for The Crucifix, this one looks like a middle-of-the-road possession horror. Now, right off the bat, there were some creeps and scares in the trailer, even with a couple of kind of eerie supernatural moments. But after seeing the possession scenes right in the trailer, I'm just not exactly sure how effective the scares will be. And as for gore-wise, I didn't spot much, but I don't think that this film is going to really lean heavily into that. So the production and acting in this one were definitely a step above B-movie, but it was still kind of missing that clean polish that you'd get from a bigger budget project. But the good thing is that it didn't kind of ruin the overall vibe for me. And the premise is basically just a standard possession horror, so I don't think we're going to get anything particularly fresh here. The Crucifix seems alright, but the scares were light and the possession scenes just didn't really hit me with enough rawness. So for now, this one's going to land at a regular to a little bit of a lower spot on my watch list.
I can feel it. You're gonna be happy here.
Hello?
I'm Elsa.
You cared for my father.
I
We lost our son.
Hussein.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a straight horror named Pretty Boy. And this movie's available for rent on Google Play and Apple TV. A masked killer named Pretty Boy takes a blind woman from her home in the Hollywood Hills and crashes a Valentine's Day party where the bloodshed continues. It is directed by Marcel Walls. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Pretty Boy, this one looks like a little bit of a meh slasher. When it comes to the creeps and scares, I really don't think there'll be much, maybe a little bit of escape tension, but I really didn't see a lot of that in the trailer either. The gore for this one looks alright, and they do some pretty good foreshadowing of some pretty decent kills with a little bit of variety, but I just didn't really see anything truly brutal. I mean, yeah, sure, we do see the killer get like fairly bloody in a couple scenes, but nothing was really just as visceral as I wanted it to be. Now, production and acting wise, this is another one with a little bit of a B-movie vibe. The cinematography actually felt decent, but a lot of the acting just came off a little bit wooden. Now, the synopsis for the movie reads that he will be crashing like some sort of Valentine's Day party, so there could be a little bit of a circle of friends angle there, but again, they just don't really show that in the trailer. And as for the premise, it's just okay. You get a slasher that crashes a party and holds people captive. It's really something that we've seen plenty of times before, so anything good out of this movie will have to probably come from the kind of execution. Now for me, Pretty Boy looks okay, but just nothing really exciting. And if you're like a hardcore slasher fan, then there might be some tension or kills here, or you might get a little bit more out of this film. But for me, it's kind of just gonna sit at a regular to lower spot on my watch list.
There's something you should know, something about this house. A monster. It stalks around the house at night, peering through the windows, looking for what it craves most.
What does it crave?
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a drama fantasy horror named Ba. And this movie's available for rent on Amazon Prime.
I just wanted to see you one more time.
A single father is deceived into a treacherous career as the Grim Reaper, while his precious daughter Colette grows increasingly suspicious of his whereabouts. It is directed by Benjamin Wong. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Ba, this one looks like an interesting supernatural horror. When it comes to the creeps and scares, I just see the movie having minimal scares with maybe some light kind of creepy moments. Gore-wise, the film leans more into the drama category, so I don't think we're going to get anything bloody or violent here. Now that being said, since the character is the Grim Reaper, we could get a lot of death scenes, and some of those deaths might be, visceral or painful, so we could get that there. Now, production-wise, Ba looks solid. It's got strong performances and good cinematography, and honestly, it always kind of grabs my attention and piques my interest when I see children giving, good performances. Now, the premise of the film is probably the most interesting element of this movie because, again, it's drama, then fantasy, then horror, so it's really not leaning hard into the horror, but just this idea that someone has been tricked into being the Grim Reaper as a career to kind of save himself from a hard life, that is a little bit unique. Plus, in the trailer, we get all of these little glimpses of him trying to, spend more time or save this kind of more time with his daughter, so I think that will probably bring, a deeper emotional layer to the film. For some reason, this urgency to kind of care for and be with his daughter seemed really compelling, and it really did pull me in. Overall, Ba looks like an intriguing movie, but I think it's worth noting that it's going to be more of that kind of slow burn feel because it is like drama, fantasy, and then horror. But I was happy to see that the film was going to have some English dubs right out of the gate, which is a plus for everybody who isn't exactly a subtitle enjoyer. For now, Ba looks like a pretty intriguing and good movie that's going to land a regular to higher priority on my watch list.
Ba, what do you do every night?
Upon acquisition of this payment, you agree to the eternal profession.
Are you a cop?
Yeah, I'm a cop.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a horror thriller named A Desert. And this movie's available for rent on Google Play and Apple TV.
She's not really my sister.
A photographer's road trip takes a dark turn when he befriends a reckless couple, plunging him into a nightmarish neo-noir spiral of unpredictable horror. It is directed by Joshua Erkman. Okay, after watching the trailer for A Desert, this one looks decent, but definitely like a weirder psychological horror. On the creeps and scares front, I didn't see much creepiness out of the trailer, but I could see us getting maybe a jump scare or two here and there. I did feel a good bit of tension though, especially coming from what I assume is the protagonist in the film. Now, gore-wise, it looks bloody for sure, and even one of the taglines is like, for fans of sophisticated depravity, so I get a good feeling that this film could probably go some pretty dark places. Production-wise, it is a step above B-movie, and the performances looked solid. Again, from what I assume is the villain and looks like the protagonist in the trailer, we see some pretty unhinged behavior, so it could be like a good element there, and it could really add to the experience. As for the premise, it wasn't super clear exactly what we're up against in this film, but that kind of mysterious edge actually makes the film a little bit more intriguing, and it definitely looks like things are gonna get pretty wild. Overall, A Desert looks like a pretty good film with a good potential to serve us up something disturbing, so this one's going to get a regular spot on my watch list.
Earthquake shakes Mojave, 7.4 on the Victor. That's powerful, man. 24 seconds. That's what it took. Listen. 1, 2, 3. How about you take our picture? 5. This is my sister. 6. This is for you. 7. 8.
We got married.
9. 10. 11. Nothing happened, man. You're too easy to rile up. You call me a liar. 15. 16.
Report a disturbance.
24. You want to see it? Place where it happened?
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a straight horror named Simon Says, and this movie's available for rent on Amazon Prime.
Only one can win.
You're next.
A terrifying origin story of the children's playground game, Simon Says. It is directed by Stephen M. Smith. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Simon Says, this one looks like an alright diabolical game horror. So the creeps and scares didn't look too bad in this one, and I'm sure they're going to attempt some creeps and scares. I'm just not exactly sure how long they're going to stick with me after the movie is done. As for the gore, unfortunately, I just didn't really get a sense that there was going to be much. Unless they decide to introduce some new victims, because while I didn't really see much gore, with only 4 victims or 4 characters in the movie, we could get some kind of torture or something to kind of prolong their suffering. So, I mean, that is something. But the trailer just didn't really give off any indication of any heavy gore. Now, the production and performances seemed passable, but it was just nothing that really stood out. And honestly, it's yet another film this week that is just giving me one step above like a B-movie feel. And honestly, the premise for the film is probably the most interesting part. You've got like the Simon Says character who has catfished 4 different people and now is forcing them to play a diabolical game for his favor. So that could have the potential for some like good and brutal moments. So overall, Simon Says seems somewhat underwhelming, but not outright bad. So I think it's going to get a regular to lower spot on my watch list.
You've got some nerve, Charles.
Or is it Daniel?
I love all 4 of you, and frankly, I can't quite make up my mind.
We'll make the decision easier for you. None of us.
Whoever I choose gets the castle. No strings attached. All you have to do is play my game.
So the last movie we're going to take a look at this week is a straight horror named Unholy Song. And this movie is available for rent on Amazon Prime.
Tell you not to play the song!
Unholy Song.
After releasing an evil witch from its cursed tape, a landlord and his 2 new renters must confront their fears and skepticism to defeat this entity. It is directed by Arthur G. Knight. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Unholy Song, this one does look like a little bit of a lackluster possession film. When it comes to the creeps and scares, this film is definitely aiming to give us both. And when you get those kind of scenes and instances where you get that grudge-esque kind of noises, it did come off pretty creepy. You remember The Grudge where you have the little creepy kid doing the like we used to do back in the day? I can't do it, I will. Now back to the trailer. One of the problems that I did have, that the movie's overall presentation, it's just a little bit subpar. So I'm not sure that they're gonna really have the execution to make those scares land. When it came to the gore in this film, there just wasn't any gore, and I'm afraid that gore hounds are going to leave empty-handed this week. But the production and acting is definitely an area where the film fell a little bit short for me. It definitely has that B-movie feel, and again, while B-movie doesn't exactly mean bad, I do feel like sometimes you have to have a certain level of execution to land scares. Like, I'm sure we've all seen horrible movies, and when they attempt to do something scary, they just don't have like the sound production behind the noises. They don't have the techniques of the silence to noise ratio. It just kind of all comes up short. Even one of the staple scary points of the movie, which is like the tape recorder that the curse is stored on, looked like a prop that I could throw together myself. But hey, we will have to wait and see. Now, the premise for this film was one of the areas that I did like, because I am a fan of these kind of cursed item horrors, and the idea of a song possessing you isn't exactly new, but I didn't really mind it. Plus, again, those grudge noises on that tape did kind of give us a pretty good creepy vibe. So overall, Unholy Song looks like a meh possession film that could surprise me, but for now, it's still going to land a lower spot on my watch list.
What do you think it is?
Whatever you do, don't open the box.
Just open it and see what's inside.
You wouldn't even wrap an old relic like this.
But if you do, for God's sake, do not press play. All hell will break loose.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of brand new releases to watch and stream. I hope you liked this content, and if you did find a couple of gems for your watch list, please leave me a like and subscribe. So unfortunately, it was a little bit of a lackluster week, but if I did have to make a couple of picks, I think the first movie I'm going to pick is Ba. Because again, I really like the premise, the idea that he's like tricked into being a Grim Reaper. It's got kind of that emotional heart where he's trying to kind of save his daughter or take care of her. And just the premise of him trying to like see her one more time. Like, they don't really explain why or what happens or whether his daughter, something happens to her, but it did feel like a compelling story point. And I just thought it was an interesting premise, like unique enough for me to really kind of be interested in. So that's going to be my first pick of the week. And my last pick, again, because it is a little bit of a lackluster week, I'm only going to really stick to the two picks, and the second movie is A Desert. And mainly because of the description that the movie gives itself for fans of sophisticated depravity. Just the way the guy even kind of tells a couple stories in this monologue, and it just looks weird. Like, I got a lot of glimpses of things. I don't know what the photographer has to play with it. There's just so much mystery kind of contained in it. I hope we do get something like kind of good and disturbing and weird, but not obtuse. You know what I mean? I do love weird, but I don't love it when I'm just like, what? And I think that the movie looks like it has a pretty solid kind of linear direction, so I hope it's not going to be too weird, but definitely with its potential for just being super disturbing, that's going to be my second pick of the week. Well, guys, that's it for me for real this time, as I have got a ton of movies to watch. If you made it this far into the video, thank you. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have been taking care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
That was intense.